Hi everyone, this is William from the Headphone Experience, and I'm going to try something a little different tonight. And the title of this video is Headphone Addiction, Is It Real? And ask the administrator of the Headphone Experience on Facebook. For the last 5.5 years, okay, we have 24.6 thousand members currently, and just keeps growing all the time. And I've been reading, over the 5.5 years that this group has been around, I've read thousands of posts. And based on that, I would say headphone addiction is definitely a real thing. It doesn't apply to everyone, and not everyone, it doesn't happen to everyone. But there's kind of a fine line between headphones as a hobby and an actual headphone addiction. And I see people all the time. People posting or making posts of their collections, and people that have 20, 30, 40 pairs of headphones, dozens of amps and DACs and things like that. And, once again, is it a collection or is it an addiction? And then I just hear constant conversations about reaching what people refer to as end game. A headphone headphone amp system, whatever that you're finally content with, you're satisfied with, and don't have the urge to go any further. And I see so many people talking about how, they have this idea of this end game headphone or this end game system, and they finally eventually reach that, and usually it's a budget issue. Can you afford to buy the headphone or amp that you really want? So you save up for a long time, you finally get it. And for a while, you're very happy. You think this is it. I don't need to go any further than this. But the problem is we watch reviews, we see conversations between different people in the group, and no matter what headphone it is, no matter what amp it is, there's always going to be someone that thinks something else is better. And whether it is or not is subjective, you can take multiple headphones at the same price, and some people are going to like one, some people are going to like the other. So it isn't necessarily that one is better than the other, it's just your preference. But say you buy the headphone that you wanted, for a long time, and this is your dream headphone, the headphone that you think is going to be the last headphone you ever need. Well, you get that headphone and you listen to it and you love it, but then you hear conversations of people saying, well, it's okay, but this other headphone is so much better. Then you start thinking, well, is there something better out there that I don't know about? Is there something that I haven't experienced? So we keep searching. And but as far as whether headphones are actually addictive or not, like I said, it's a hobby, but it can get out of control. And I don't really think it's the headphone itself that is addictive. I actually think it's the music. The headphones they're really just a tool that we use, but to basically inject the drug, which is music. And it's a proven fact that music can alter, brain chemicals, it can alter hormones, it can have a huge effect on your mood, it can help depression, it can treat a lot of medical problems. There's a lot of evidence and a lot of background that music has a lot of power on the human mind. And like I said, it's proven that music can alter neurotransmitters in the brain. It can alter hormones. and it can really, change the way we feel. And I think that's the part that is truly addictive. But like I said, the headphones become a tool to use the drug that we call music. And the reason I think headphones are so addictive compared to, say, a home speaker system, you don't see people out buying 20 pairs of speakers or, that sort of thing. They buy what they can afford. They're usually content with it, and they listen to them for years. But it seems different with headphones. Headphones, someone will go buy a $3,000 pair of headphones, and a year later they're buying another $3,000 pair of headphones. And I think that the difference is that a speaker system, unless you have like a dedicated listening room, where you can go into that room and isolate yourself and shut out all outside noise and design the room to be as close to perfect acoustically as you can to make the music as pure as it could be. Unless you have that, and there's not many people that have that. There's not many people that can have a dedicated listening room in their house. So when you listen to speakers, it's kind of, you're not isolated the way you are with headphones, especially closed back headphones. Headphones just have a way of separating you from the rest of the world. And like I said, especially closed back headphones. You put on a pair of closed back headphones and it isolates all the outside noise, so you don't hear that anymore. And you're the only one hearing the music, and you can it just separates you from the rest of the world. And it can it's like a little mini vacation. You can almost leave your reality, leave your world, leave your busy day, leave your job, all your problems, and just isolate yourself into your own little world with your headphones and listen to your music. And a long time ago, back when I was a teenager, I realized that I could drastically affect my mood and the way I felt with music. And depending on which direction I wanted to go, I could choose a music that would accomplish that. And music became my drug. I never had an interest in illegal drugs or prescription drugs or anything like that, because I could make substantial changes in a very short period of time just by listening to music and change the way I felt. If I was depressed, I could, maybe choose one kind of music, or if I, was, just down and, wanted to cheer up a little bit, I could listen to something else. If I was getting ready to go out and see my friends, go to a party, whatever, I could choose the music to change my mood. And something I did notice back when I was a teenager, that actually music had the opposite effect on me that you would think. It was, you would think something calm, like some classical music or something, would calm a person down. Well, it does for me now. But when I was a teenager, I was so high strung that music like that actually made me crazy. It made me feel worse. Okay, and so when I was like late teens, early 20s, I found out listening to like hardcore punk rock or industrial music or speed metal or something like that actually had a calming effect on me. And I guess it's like, some of the medications they give kids that are actually stimulants, and on an adult they would have one effect, but on a kid a stimulant can actually have a calming effect. Drugs like Ritalin, for example. So, when I was young, I actually listened to really fast, hard music, and it had a calming effect on me. Well, I'm, pushing 60 years old now, and it's a lot different. Now, if I want to relax, and I do every night before I go to bed, I put on headphones and I sit back and just drift off into a different world, and and just let the music wash away all my thoughts, my stress, my aggravations, and it's just so relaxing to me. If I go to bed without listening to music first, I can lay there for an hour trying to fall asleep. But if I sit down in this chair here, put on my headphones, sit in the dark, put on some music, I usually fall asleep by the second or third song, and when I do wake up, I just go straight to bed, and I'm asleep in like 2 minutes. And I found out one of the best bands for relaxing me, put me to sleep, is old Fleetwood Mac from the 70s. The song Sarah. I don't know what it is about that song. It just hypnotizes me. I can't make it through that song without falling asleep. But anyway, it's known that music, like I said, can affect neurotransmitters, hormones, and especially dopamine. Dopamine is the pleasure chemical. It makes you feel good. It makes you, it's like a reward. And it's proven that music can cause a release of dopamine. And dopamine, without a doubt, is addictive. So it's not the headphones you're addicted to, it's not the music necessarily, but you can get addicted to that dopamine rush that comes from the music. And the headphones are just the tool we use to inject that music into our brain. And headphones just happen to be really effective. And then what I found out, my experience is the better the sound quality, the more pure the music, the more I can just kind of drift off into this other reality and, just feel, when I put on a really good pair of headphones, I don't hear the sound here and here. I hear it all the way around me. I can pinpoint, each instrument in space and even different distances and all that. And I just start, taking the music apart and listening to each little piece of it separately. And when I do that, I forget about my stress of the day, about work, about bills, all that stuff. And like I said, it can release dopamine, which can really make you feel good. It can release, what's it called, oxytocin, which is a hormone they refer to as the love hormone. When you're in love, your body releases oxytocin. Well, music can do that same thing and give you a similar feeling to being in love. And the hormone cortisol, which is a stress hormone that when you have a stressful day, when you're stressed about, your job, your bills, whatever, your cortisol levels can get real high. And it's proven that music can actually relax you and lower your cortisol levels. So it's these, changes in your hormones and your neurotransmitters that change the way you feel. The music is the drug that does that. The headphones are the tool we use. And another thing that music can do is music is like the ultimate time machine. How many times have you heard a song that, an old song, a song that's been around 20 years, 30 years, and you'll hear that song and you'll just have this vivid memory, almost a flashback of an event that happened a long time ago that you were listening to that same song, that same music during that time. And it's something you kind of remember in the back of your mind, but when you hear a certain song, you'll just, get a flashback of, that's just so clear and so vivid of a memory you have attached to that song. That's like when I hear basically anything by the Cars. Okay, I have these flashbacks of going to see the Cars at Poplar Creek Music Theater in Hoffman Estates, Illinois. It doesn't exist anymore. It was this big outdoor music theater that held like 40,000 people or something like that. In the summer of, I think it was 84, I was there like every weekend for different concerts, and I went there to see the Cars. And it was just so cool, went there with a big group of friends, and, so I hear the Cars now, and I just have like these vivid flashbacks of that concert, sitting up there in the lawn with my friends on blankets, and listening to the Cars. And it's just so many different songs do that for me. So music, it's like a time machine also, it can bring back these memories that are almost lost, but it can just bring them back so vividly. So basically, like I said, what I found out is the better the equipment, the better the headphone, the more pure the music is. You get rid of the distortion, you get rid of, and you create this huge soundstage and the imaging where you can pick out each instrument. And to me, the better the equipment, the more pure the music drug is that I'm putting into me. And that's what gives me that dopamine rush, those feelings, is that, hearing that music in such high quality, the more real the music sounds, the more I get that feeling, okay? But the problem is, we get a new headphone. And the first few times you listen to it, you're just blown away by just how great it sounds, how you can hear all these things that you never noticed before. That's what's so exciting about getting into high-end headphones. You can listen to songs you've heard 1,000 times, and you will hear new details you never heard of before. And that's what's so exciting, and that's what gives you that dopamine rush. But the problem is, after a while, that kind of fades away. We kind of lose it. The more dopamine your body releases, the less sensitive your receptors become to it. And we want to get that back, but it takes more and more, and it takes, more to stimulate that dopamine release. So we figure, well, if we can upgrade our system to a better headphone, a better amp, whatever, we can get that feeling again. And sometimes it doesn't even take an upgrade, just kind of a sidestep in equipment. You might have one $500 headphone and go to another $500 headphone that isn't necessarily better, but every headphone's going to be different, and one's going to emphasize some parts of the music, another's going to emphasize other parts. And taking a sidestep, you just might hear things differently, and it might give you that rush again. So I think that's a big part of why we just keep wanting to get more equipment, more headphones, more, we're just looking for that. We're looking to hear something we didn't hear before. We're looking to hear, be excited by the music again and get that dopamine rush again. And, so I was thinking about it, and, how do you know if you're addicted to your headphones? Or, like I said, you're addicted to music, but your headphones become the tool to use the music to alter the way you feel. And, I was thinking about, what are signs that we might have a headphone addiction, not just, it might be more than a hobby. And the things I kind of figured out to be warning signs, if, this has become more of an addiction than a hobby, is, do you have more than a few headphones? And I understand having more than one headphone. One headphone might sound really good with rock music or, electronic dance music, something like that, but might not sound good with classical or jazz or acoustic music. And another one might sound really good, classical, acoustic, or may sound really good with vocals. So I totally understand having more than one headphone, depending on what type of music you listen to, you want to listen to on a given day or night, and also, sometimes my choice will change day to day. One day I might want, a headphone with some solid punchy bass, and another time, that might not be important to me. I want to hear guitar notes, piano notes, or, I want to hear vocals. the way they should sound. So I totally understand having a few different headphones, 2, 3, different headphones for different types of music. Maybe having a tube amp and a solid state amp because of the difference in the way they sound. But by the time you get to 20, 30 headphones, you got to consider the possibility that it has become an addiction. And another good sign is if you're spending money you don't have to buy headphones or, amps, DACs, that sort of thing. If you're, running your credit cards up, buying this stuff, spending money that, there's better things you could be spending it on, like paying your bills, paying your mortgage, things like that. If you're running up your a lot of credit card debt buying headphones, it might be an addiction. Another thing is if you have to lie to your wife or your significant other about how much money you're spending on headphones, if you're buying a $3,000 pair of headphones and not telling the truth about how much you're spending, and from what I hear, that's very common with high-end audio equipment. So, if you're lying to someone that you live with that depends on you about how much you're spending, that's another sign this has become an addiction to you. And also, if you just never feel content, if you just never feel that this headphone or this amp or this DAC is good enough, you're always looking for more. You think something is going to be your end game, and then you get it, and after a while, it's not. You're still looking for more. That's another good sign that this has become an addiction to you. So, anyway, and last, I would say if you're spending large amounts of money, especially if you can't afford it, just trying to get that last couple of percent better, I'm talking about things, a headphone's going to make the biggest difference in your sound. But then the way I feel about it, probably the amp is next, and then probably your DAC, and then you get to things like cables. Okay, if you're buying really expensive cables, trying to etch out that last couple of percent, and yeah, I understand having nice cables on your headphones. Some really nice headphones come with cheap cables. I don't really think that they make a significant difference in the sound, but yeah, you might etch, if you're trying to get that last 2 or 3% out of your system, an expensive cable might do that. And that's fine if you have the money, but if you don't, you're buying expensive cables with money you don't have, once again, this may have become an addiction to you. So, but I found out that, I've heard a lot of headphones. I've been reviewing for 4.5 years now. I've probably reviewed 40 headphones ranging from, $100 up to $4,000. A lot of mid-fi and even high-end headphones. And I realize, and they do get better as the price goes up, but you have the law of diminishing returns, where a $4,000 headphone isn't 10 times as good as a $400 headphone. It might be twice as good, and it's, without a doubt better, but it's not 10 times as good as a headphone that costs 1/10 the price. You get up a little bit, and that's what they call diminishing returns, where basically in the audio world, they say the common rule of thumb is you have to spend twice as much to get 10% better. You don't get twice as good, you get 10% better. And, so you have to, probably more than anything, it depends on your budget, your financial means. But, what I found out is I can listen to a mid-fi headphone, and if I don't compare it directly to a high-end headphone that costs a lot more, I can be really happy with it. I don't realize that there's any shortcomings in it until I directly compare it to something. My brain adjusts really fast to a different headphone. And even if the tone balance is a little bit off or say it's a little bit short on bass, my brain adjusts to that pretty quickly, and I don't really notice it. So unless you're comparing headphones side by side, you know, like you're reviewing them or whatever, you can adjust to it and be really happy. And I mean, I could, you know, I could be probably happy the rest of my life with, you know, what is considered a mid-fi headphone. You know, I mean, yeah, it's nice to play with the expensive stuff and listen to the really nice stuff, but, you know, once again, is it crossed the point of being a hobby into an addiction if you can't stop at some point and say this is good enough. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about this. It's just kind of a thought that went through my head, and give me your thoughts in the comments. I'd like to hear them. Once again, this is William from the Headphone Experience. If this video has helped you, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And you are all welcome to join us over at the Headphone Experience on Facebook. We are up to 24.6 thousand members. Just keeps growing every day. So thanks for watching my video.